Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are still working on King Lear, and today we get to hear from Gloucester in Act 1, Scene 2. And this is part of the secondary plot of King Lear. So primary plot, King Lear wanted to divide his kingdom between his three daughters, but one of them didn't play the game correctly, so he divided it between the two, and he banished the third, married her off to the King of France. And he banished his advisor Kent in the process, and then went off to enjoy his retirement. And his daughters who received things from him are wary of who he is going to be moving forward. But then this secondary plot, we have Gloucester and his sons, Edgar and Edmund, Edmund being the bastard son, Edgar being the legitimate son. And the bastard son is bitter about the fact that he's a bastard, so he is setting up the legitimate son, Edgar, for a fall so that he can get the inheritance that Edgar would otherwise get. So Edmund taunted his father Gloucester with a letter that upon reading makes it sound like Edgar wants to kill Gloucester so that Edgar and Edmund can get their inheritance before they are too old to enjoy it. So yesterday we got to hear that letter, and now we've got Gloucester and Edmund in this room, and Edmund is like, let's be calm and rational about this. Let's make sure that this is an actual thing, even though he knows it's not a thing because he's the one that wrote the letter that makes it look like Edgar wants to do this stuff. He's like, let's make sure that this is legit, so I will arrange a time when you can be overhearing me talk to Edgar, and you'll find out if this is an actual plot or not. And Gloucester's like, yeah, that's a good idea. And before Gloucester leaves the stage, he gets to sort of pontificate for a moment in the general direction of his bastard son Edmund, and he says, "These late eclipses in the sun and moon portend no good to us. Though the wisdom of nature can reason it thus and thus, yet nature finds itself scourged by the sequent effects. Love cools, friendship falls off, brothers divide. In cities, mutinies, in countries, discord, in palaces, treason, and the bond cracked twixt father and son. This villain of mine comes under the prediction, there's son against father. The king falls from the bias of nature. There's father against child. We have seen the best of our time. Machinations, hollowness, treachery, and all ruinous disorders follow us disquietly to our graves. Find out this villain, Edmund. It shall lose thee nothing. Do it carefully." And the noble and true-hearted Kent banished his offense, honesty. 'Tis strange. And then he leaves the stage. It's very much like a drop the mic moment where he's pontificating on all the things that are going wrong and how this whole kingdom and the whole country are falling apart and fighting amongst themselves and from the innards and all that sort of thing. It's a very profound moment to happen so early in the play, and it is very it tells us a lot of it foreshadows a lot that's going to happen in the rest of the play as it goes on. And I'm not sure if Shakespeare wanted the play to be a comedy or wanted it to be something else, or didn't want us to get too bogged down in the tragedy of the play in Act 1, Scene 2. But Edmund gets to lift us right back out of it with a moment that will be tomorrow's monologue as soon as this one is done. So as soon as Gloucester exits the stage, we get Edmund's next monologue, which will be tomorrow. It's in contrast to this that is very dark and heavy and, oh my goodness, the world is a horrible place. Tomorrow, Edmund gets to pull us out of that and put us back on track, or psych us out from knowing what the actual track is, or something along those lines. Anyway, we'll dig further into that tomorrow. I'll see you then. Mwah.